You know, in a world that feels like it's screaming for our attention 24/7, there are these people who are practically ghosts online. So, let's get into it. We're going to explore the really fascinating psychology behind why some people choose to live a more private life.
Seriously, think about it for a second. We all know someone like this, right? No vacation selfies, no birthday posts, zero updates. So what's the deal? Are they just shy? Or is there something much, much deeper going on?
It's so easy to jump to conclusions, isn't it? We might think, they're probably antisocial, maybe a little insecure, or their life is just boring. But, psychology tells a totally different story. The truth is often the complete opposite. What we see as being shy is actually emotional security. What we mistake for insecurity, that's often real, deep confidence. And having nothing to share, it's actually a very deliberate choice to protect their own mental peace.
Okay, so let's dig into the first big psychological reason. And here's the key. It's not about being against other people. It's about being for your own privacy.
There's actually a term for this. Psychologists call it having a high privacy orientation. It just means you really value being in control of your own story. It's not about hiding out of fear. It's about wanting to be the one who decides what the world gets to see and think about you.
And this right here really gets to the heart of it. It's all about where you get your sense of worth. A lot of us are wired to seek that external validation, that little rush from likes and comments. But these folks, they run on self-validation. They just don't need to broadcast their life to feel good about it. And honestly, that's a huge sign of inner strength.
All right, moving on to our second point. This whole preference for privacy, it's usually anchored in something even deeper, a really strong, stable sense of who they are.
Yep, there's a term for this too, self-concept clarity. And the research is pretty clear. People who post less often just have a really solid handle on who they are. They know their values, they know their goals. They don't need 100 followers to reflect their identity back at them because they've already built it from the inside out.
And all of this is powered by what's called secure self-esteem. It's a kind of confidence that just doesn't run on attention. People with this trait feel whole all on their own. And because of that, they tend to be less anxious, they're not always looking for approval, and they can stay laser-focused on what they want to achieve in the real world.
So we've got private and we've got self-aware, but there's another piece to this puzzle, and it's all about how they think. They actually tend to process the world a little differently. Psychologists explain this with a concept called an internal locus of evaluation. I know, it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a simple idea. They are their own judge. Their self-worth isn't decided by a jury of online followers. It's based on their own internal rulebook. And because of that, they're naturally drawn to things with more substance. They would much rather have one real, deep conversation than 100 surface-level online exchanges. For them, it is all about quality over quantity. Okay, this brings us to our final and maybe the most important reason. This isn't something that just happens to them. It is an active, conscious choice they are making day in and day out. You see, they're acutely aware of what you could call the digital illusion. They get that social media is often just a highlight reel, a performance. They understand just how easily it can warp our sense of what's real. And by staying offline, they are actively shielding themselves from a huge mental trap. It's called social comparison theory. And it's that totally human instinct to measure our own messy, real lives against the perfect, shiny versions we see online. By staying quiet, they just step out of that toxic game completely. And that is the absolute key takeaway. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's a deliberate trade-off. They choose internal peace over external performance. So the next time you run across someone who's quiet online, maybe don't jump to those old assumptions. Try to see it for what it really is, a powerful sign that they are grounded, emotionally intelligent, and deeply self-aware. And I think this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Their validation, that feeling of being valued and understood, it comes from within. That is what real confidence looks like. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. In a world that is constantly shouting for us to perform, how do you go about finding and protecting your own quiet confidence?